Genesis chapter 41. Pharaoh's dream. 1. At the end of 2 years, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing by the Nile River. 2. When 7 beautiful and fat cows came out of the river, they began to graze among the reeds. 3. Then came out of the river 7 more cows, ugly and thin, who went to the banks of the Nile. 4. Then the ugly and lean cows ate the 7 beautiful, fat cows. At this Pharaoh woke. 5. He fell asleep again and had another dream. 7 ears of wheat, big and good, grew on the same foot. 6. Then sprouted another 7 ears, murred and parched by the east wind. 7. The murred ears swallowed the 7 large, full ears. Then Pharaoh woke. It was a dream. 8. In the morning, disturbed, he sent for all the wise men and wizards of Egypt and told them the dreams, but no one was able to interpret them. 9. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, "Today I remember my faults." 10. Once Pharaoh was angry with 2 of his servants and had me arrested along with the chief baker at the home of the captain of the guard. 11. One night each of us had a dream, and each dream had an interpretation. 12. Well, there was a young Hebrew man there with us, a servant of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them, giving each of us the interpretation of his own dream. 13. And everything happened as he had told us. I was restored to my position, and the other was hanged. 14. Pharaoh sent for Joseph, who was quickly brought from the dungeon. After shaving and changing clothes, he presented himself to Pharaoh. 15. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I had a dream that no one can interpret. But I've heard that you, when you hear a dream, are able to interpret it." 16. Joseph answered him, "It is not up to me, but God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer." 17. Then Pharaoh told Joseph of the dream. "I dreamed that I was standing on the edge of the Nile." 18. When they came out of the river 7 cows, beautiful and fat, who began to graze among the reeds. 19. Then came another 7, stunted, very ugly and thin. I have never seen such ugly cows in all the land of Egypt. 20. The lean, ugly cows ate the 7 fat cows that had appeared first. 21. Even after they had eaten them, it did not seem that they had done so, for they were still as thin as before. Then I woke up. 22. Then I had another dream. I saw 7 ears of cereal, full and good, growing on 1 foot. 23. After them, 7 others sprang up, withered and murred, parched by the east wind. 24. The lean ears swallowed the 7 good ears. I told the mages about it, but no one was able to explain it. 25. Pharaoh had only one dream. Joseph told him. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. 26. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are also 7 years. It's a single dream. 27. The 7 lean and ugly cows that came after the others, and the 7 myrrhated ears, burned by the east wind, are 7 years. It will be 7 years of famine. 28. It's just like I said to Pharaoh. God showed Pharaoh what he's going to do. 29. 7 years of much abundance are to come upon all the land of Egypt. 30. But then will come 7 years of famine. Then all the time of abundance will be forgotten, for famine will ruin the earth. 31. The famine that will come after will be so severe that the time of plenty will no longer be remembered on earth. 32. The dream has come to Pharaoh twice because the matter has already been decided by God, who hastens to realize it. 33. Now seek Pharaoh, a judicious and wise man, and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. 34. Pharaoh must also establish overseers to collect 1/5 of Egypt's harvest during the 7 years of plenty. 35. They will be to collect what they can in the good years to come and make stocks of wheat which, under Pharaoh's control, will be stored in the cities. 36. This stock will serve as a reserve for the 7 years of famine that will come upon Egypt, so that the land will not be ravaged by famine. 37. The plan seemed good to Pharaoh and all his advisors. 38. So Pharaoh asked them, "Are we going to find someone like this man, in whom is the divine spirit?" 39. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has revealed all these things to you, there is no one as judicious and wise as you." 40. You will have the command of my palace, and all my people will submit to your orders. Only in relation to the throne will I be greater than you. Joseph, governor of Egypt. 41. And Pharaoh went on, "I give you now the command of all the land of Egypt." 42. Then Pharaoh took his seal ring off his finger and placed it on Joseph's finger. He had him put on fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. 43. He also made him climb into his second royal carriage, and ahead the heralds were shouting, "Make way!" Thus Joseph was put in charge of all the land of Egypt. 44. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh, but without his word no one can lift up his hand or foot in all Egypt." 45. Pharaoh gave Joseph the name of Zaphenath-Paneah and gave him as his wife Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. Then Joseph went to inspect all the land of Egypt. 46. Joseph was 30 years old when he began serving Pharaoh, king of Egypt. He was absent from Pharaoh's presence and went all over Egypt. 47. During the 7 years of plenty, the land had great production. 48. Joseph collected all the surplus from the 7 years of plenty in Egypt and stored it in the cities. In each town he stored the wheat harvested in the surrounding fields. 49. So Joseph stockpiled much wheat, like the sand of the sea. Such was the amount he stopped writing down, because it was beyond all measure. 50. Before the years of famine, Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, gave Joseph 2 sons. 51. To the first, Joseph gave the name of Manasseh, saying, "God made me forget all my suffering and all my father's house." 52. To the second son, he called Ephraim, saying, "God has made me prosper in the land where I have suffered." 53. Thus came to an end the 7 years of plenty in Egypt. 54. And the 7 years of famine began, as Joseph had foretold. There was famine in all the lands, but in all Egypt there was food. 55. When all Egypt began to suffer from famine, the people cried out to Pharaoh for food, and Pharaoh replied to all the Egyptians, "Go to Joseph and do as he says." 56. When the famine had spread throughout the land, Joseph had the storage places opened and began to sell wheat to the Egyptians, as the famine was worsening throughout Egypt. 57. And from all the land people came to Egypt to buy Joseph's wheat, for the famine was worsening everywhere.